Like Ryan Reynolds is the guy that's behind all of this because people feel that Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively were secretly in love while filming this.
Oh, poor Blake. It must be so tough out there. Look at this forlorn. God, her outfits are the worst. Oh, this forlorn Blake Lively. She's really struggling here.
A surprising truth has come out. Ryan Reynolds was secretly involved in Blake Lively's lawsuit from the very beginning. This was just revealed by Bryan Freedman, the top lawyer handling Blake's case against Justin Baldoni. What looked like a united front between Blake and her team was actually part of a smart legal plan. While Blake took the spotlight, Ryan was quietly making decisions behind the curtain to defend his wife's image and their family's name. This new detail changes how we see the whole scandal. But why did Ryan stay silent about his role for so long? And did he go too far?
So the first portion that you kind of saw was the first amended complaint that Sarowitz and his co-plaintiff filed seeks to fulfill the promise by polluting this court's docket with hundreds of paragraphs of clickbait designed for an audience other than this court, with virtually no bearing on cognizable legal claims.
Which I just found ironic, given that that's what she did with the New York Times. She not only had a bunch of texts and paragraphs to overdo it all, she gave it to them months in advance. And
Allegedly.
now somehow, allegedly, I don't know, I feel pretty confident with the metadata that they did. You can't edit a video and all those articles. And they, even in their response, they're like, well, we were working on a story, is how they sort of are playing it.
Yeah.
So I do feel like they've kind of admitted it. But yeah, this idea that, they're allowed to do it, but Justin can't is just ridiculous.
Yeah. So then it talks about the receipts, such as large colored photographs comparing Mr. Reynolds' long hairstyle in a movie with Mr. Baldoni's long hairstyle at some point in his life. But the FAC is a pleading, not a gossip rag. And these so-called receipts fail to establish a requisite elements of a single one of the many causes of action against Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah, just like, that the lack of evidence on Blake's thing as well, right, Kim? It's just weird how they don't have to provide evidence, but somehow Justin does. I don't get it. Isn't it their case? Aren't they the ones who have to provide the actual evidence?
When Blake Lively filed a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, the public believed she was standing up alone, courageously facing inappropriate behavior during the filming of It Ends With Us. She was seen as a strong woman speaking out, defending herself, after certain intimate scenes reportedly went too far. The media praised her bravery, painting her as someone challenging the darker side of Hollywood on her own. But was that the full story, or just what we were led to think? As the case moved forward, people familiar with the industry started noticing some unusual things. The way Blake's legal team approached the lawsuit didn't quite match her usual style. The tone was sharper, more deliberate, and incredibly well-planned, far more intense than anything Blake had ever been part of before. Throughout her career, she's maintained a clean, controversy-free image, rarely engaging in dramatic conflicts. So when her legal documents showed an unexpectedly strong and precise tone, questions started popping up. It didn't sound like Blake at all. The wording and legal strategy hinted at someone with deep knowledge of Hollywood's legal system. Then came the reports. Ryan Reynolds was seen visiting high-profile law offices, without Blake, on several different days leading up to the lawsuit. A security guard even confirmed seeing him arrive alone multiple times at Bryan Freedman's office, the lawyer leading the case. This wasn't just casual support, yet, in public, Blake and Ryan kept quiet about his role. At events, Ryan stood by her side but gave vague, playful answers when asked directly about his involvement. Even their social media told a careful story. Blake looking determined, reviewing legal papers alone, while Ryan's contributions remained out of sight. But behind the scenes, he was deeply involved, and that hidden truth was about to be exposed.
Yes, and look, this has been like an ongoing theory that like Ryan Reynolds is the guy that's behind all of this because people feel that Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively were secretly in love while filming this. And if you listen to some of like the voice text that he sent her, it seems like a very, like they had originally like a very intimate conversation and like, just their conversations
or
were
it was
just
him
very
speaking
like
at 2 a.m.
love-like.
Or that's just his voice at 2 a.m.
Right.
Yes, but fans are really reading into this, and they're like, Ryan is so jealous of this relationship. He's trying to torpedo this. And look, at the end of the day, the scenes do kind of look alike. The interaction, the camera angles, the dancing, but it's just another scene in any other movie that we've seen.
I didn't think they had any chemistry either.
It's two main characters who are getting to know each other, and they are dancing.
Right.
That's
They're
the
actors,
similarity in the two scenes.
And we heard them. We heard the conversation, Charles, like you said, and it didn't come off as romantic at all to me. I mean, he referenced his wife, right?
He was referencing his wife. Now, she says that this particular scene is when one of the times she felt sexually harassed because he was making comments about her perfume, was sort of nuzzling into her, none of which she said was scripted, and so...
The illusion of a simple legal battle was moments away from falling apart when one of Hollywood's most powerful lawyers took the stage. Bryan Freedman, known for his sharp legal mind and high-profile clients, isn't the kind of attorney who makes careless mistakes. Charging $1,500 an hour, he's the go-to expert when celebrities want to win without compromise. So when he spoke at what seemed like a routine update on Blake Lively's case against Justin Baldoni, no one expected him to mention Ryan Reynolds at all, let alone suggest he was playing a key role behind the scenes. Freedman didn't casually mention Ryan as someone simply kept informed. He clearly referred to Ryan as someone involved in making major decisions. Reporters in the room were stunned. One entertainment journalist, Samantha Reeves, called it a staged reveal. There was no backtracking, no hesitation, just confidence. According to experts, Freedman's body language showed he was fully aware of what he was doing. Sources close to the firm say Freedman would never drop a client's name without permission. If Ryan was mentioned, it's because Ryan wanted the truth out. This shifted the story instantly. Ryan wasn't just supporting Blake. He was guiding the entire legal fight from the shadows.
I think Ryan Reynolds is in reality. This response to the motion to dismiss response is just reads like he doesn't even know what Justin put in his own complaints. It is incredibly frustrating to read this entire thing. There's a lot. I'll start with the intro and then I'll go through a few examples. The Wayfarer Party's opposition confirms the central thesis of Mr. Ryan's motion to dismiss. The FAC is meritless. List of grievances and hurt feelings designed to retaliate against Blake Lively for raising SH and retaliation claims. Keyword claims that he has every right to defend himself on. The opposition is riddled with fatal concessions. As if you haven't done that yourself in your own past interviews and everything else, but I digress. One example, despite the FAC's preposterous $400 million damages claim, the opposition concedes that the FAC is in fact alleges no actual monetary harm whatsoever, instead relying exclusively on defamation per se theory that even if it were valid, which it's not, fails to allege cognizable damages for any of the FAC's other claims. In addition, the opposition concedes the FAC does not allege proximate causation, another fatal omission. The opposition reveals something much worse than the FAC's failure to state valid claims against Mr. Reynolds. Stunningly, it confirms that only 3 of the Wayfarer parties, Mr. Baldoni, Mr. Heath, Wayfarer, have articulated any legal claim against Mr. Reynolds at all. As detailed further below, the sole alleged defamatory statements concern only Mr. Baldoni. The other only alleged conduct as to extortion was directed at most Wayfarer studios, Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath. And the only parties even arguably in contractual relationship with WME were Wayfarer and Baldoni. But disregarding that rule, obligations, every Wayfarer party asserted each claim against Mr. Reynolds, meaning that every Wayfarer party, other than Mr. Baldoni, brought a federal lawsuit alleging at least one cause of action that they know they had no legal basis to assert. None of Mr. Sarowitz, Miss Nathan, Miss Abel, It Ends With Us, Manage or Tag has a single cause of action against Mr. Reynolds that they even arguably possess. All those claims should be dismissed, and Mr. Reynolds should be awarded his attorney's fees and costs under New York law. Now, here's what he's trying to say at the end there, and we're going to get into an example that's sort of, he's trying to claim, well, my comment was to Justin, if we're going to hear that, and that doesn't affect everybody else. As if calling Justin an actual predator doesn't affect all of Wayfarer is beyond me, because it does. But as I talked to Christopher Melcher, he agrees it's silly, but there very likely could be a request from the judge to just amend the amendment, the complaint, to include a more specific reason as to why.
Every major legal plan leaves behind clues, and even celebrities as famous as Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively can't erase all the signs. What's truly surprising isn't just that Ryan had a part in Blake's lawsuit, it's how carefully he managed everything without revealing his role. This wasn't random support from a concerned husband. It was a structured, strategic campaign designed to stay hidden. Court documents filed in the case contain language that sounds very similar to how Ryan talks in his business ventures: confident, direct, and sharp. One part of the filing about professional boundaries nearly matches something Ryan once said in an old interview about production standards. Then there's the behind-the-scenes activity. A crew member said Ryan called him directly during filming to express concerns about how certain scenes were being shot. He wasn't casually checking in. He gave specific directions like someone in charge. Reporters also uncovered emails where Ryan was copied in early legal conversations, weeks before the lawsuit became public. Phone logs show Ryan spoke with the legal team over 40 times while Blake was busy filming. One of the most revealing details came from a personal assistant who shared messages where Ryan clearly told someone to arrange the lawsuit details in a specific order, first focusing on contract issues, then the more emotional claims. 2 days later, the lawsuit was filed in exactly that order. Ryan was also seen quietly watching the filming of the controversial scenes, something unusual for a spouse not officially part of the crew. Industry experts believe the reason for hiding his involvement was to protect their public image. They've built their reputation on being open and likable. If people knew Ryan was pulling the strings, it could have changed how fans and brands saw them. Timing the truth helped them stay in control and protect their multi-million-dollar brand.
Oh, poor Blake. It must be so tough out there. Look at this forlorn. God, her outfits are the worst. Oh, this forlorn Blake Lively. She's really struggling here. She's really, really struggling in these 2 frames when everyone else is laughing around her, and clearly she is too. It's like, look at this guy howling in laughter. It must be so tough to be Blake Lively. They're at an equestrian farm in South Salem, as their daughter competes in a horse show. So, she's really struggling. The relatable Blake Lively is so forlorn and struggling at a horse farm as her daughter competes in equestrian acts. Most people can afford to do that, right? To head off to horse farms for their daughters to compete in equestrian events. My God. I dislike this woman more and more as much as she goes out there. It's crazy because this whole article is trying to paint it as how difficult it is. Blake is striving for normalcy in her life, but the past few weeks have been incredibly challenging. It seems like every move she makes is now under constant criticism. You're just now realizing this after the Saturday Night Live thing, after the South by Southwest, after the stupid PR opportunity that was the donut shop. Oh, she now feels like her entire life has been turned upside down. Yeah, and it's your fault. You could have just moved on with your life and not sued Justin. You could have celebrated the win of that movie and just let it be an awkward moment in your time and later move on and figure out a way to actually help your PR. Instead, you've tripled, quadrupled. What's the one best? Quadrupled, quintupled? I don't know. You've done it so much, 9-tupled, 10-tupled yourself into the worst spot you could be. I don't understand why she isn't figuring out how to stop the bleeding like yesterday. It makes no sense. If Justin were willing, and if the rest of that team were willing, she should be figuring out whatever she can do to just shake hands and move on. Because you got to remember, it's not just Justin who's getting involved. And I have to believe some of these people, all of them, just want this to be over. And at a certain point, when this lawsuit when they get so heavy and you're in so the weeds, there is a point where you do just want to just wave the white flag and both parties agree, we're done. We're going to move on. Let each party do what they want to do. And obviously you can choose to support who you want to support, but I would not be surprised if it happens. But I am shocked that it hasn't happened yet. After the disastrous events, she's trying to pretend like there's nothing wrong. Clearly there is, but I don't see much damages because you're able to live your life the same way. Doesn't seem like you're losing much opportunities. You're still promoting your business that you claim failed. Nothing failed, Blake. And anything that did fail was due to your own actions. That is the reality. That is just clearer and clearer as more evidence piles up and time. That's what's happening.
Their efforts to protect business interests have revealed something much deeper about how power works in Hollywood. Many people think of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively as just a fun, loving couple who post jokes and support each other online. But those who've worked with them describe something very different. A highly organized partnership where Ryan plans everything several steps ahead, and Blake plays the perfect public role. This lawsuit has unintentionally pulled back the curtain on what insiders are now calling the Reynolds-Lively system, a carefully managed structure that's been operating for years right in front of us. According to a former studio insider, they're not just a charming couple. They're running a brand that uses their relationship as its main marketing tool. Their roles in Hollywood have been divided with precision. Ryan is the clever, humorous businessman, while Blake builds a polished lifestyle image and takes on selective film projects. That's not a coincidence. One talent manager explained that in private, Ryan often takes charge in tough negotiations, while Blake uses warmth and likability to keep things smooth. This dynamic isn't new. Years ago, when Blake faced problems on a film set, there was a similar behind-the-scenes effort involving legal threats and strategic moves. Now it's clear, Ryan was the driving force. In 2019, when a beauty company tried to cancel its deal with Blake, the brand was met with a powerful, calculated response. It followed the same formula: public grace from Blake, intense pressure behind closed doors from Ryan. Attorney Marcus Coleman says what we're seeing now has always existed. It's just never been so obvious. Media expert Priya Chararma adds that people loved Blake and Ryan for feeling real. But now, knowing how carefully everything is planned, it changes how audiences see them.
Now, this gets into specifically the 2 times allegedly that Mr. Reynolds called Mr. Baldoni a predator, and saying that the FAC allegations suggest that Mr. Reynolds genuinely, perhaps passionately, believes that Mr. Baldoni's behavior is reflective of a predator. Even the FAC plausibly alleged that Mr. Reynolds called Mr. Baldoni a predator while believing the opposite, which it does not. The law establishes that calling someone a predator amounts to constitutionally protected opinion. And the FAC's thin-skinned outrage over a movie character, the satirical woke nice pool, does not even pretend to be tied to any actual legal claims. Instead, it falls into the FAC's general allegation of hurt feelings, in which reality is nothing more than a desperate effort to advance the same curated bully image that the Wayfarer parties created and disseminated in the retaliation campaign they launched against Ms. Lively in August of 2024.
I mean, it is a bully tactic. He's not denying that Nice Pool is Justin. And the idea that he used such an important movie for Marvel fans, for Deadpool fans, and he created a whole character, Justin, and we're supposed to not be affected by that or acknowledge that that's weird and petty and potentially defamatory. I don't know. The whole thing is just weird. But I love the thin skin. He's just thin skinned. It's just ridiculous. That the thin-skinned comment really stuck to me. I'm just like, yeah, Justin, we're destroying your life. I believe my wife was wrong, but I'm still allowed to believe her. We mocked you and we killed you in the movie. We told your agent to fire you. You've lost all these other movies, but it's just your thin skin. Just get over it. I'll be honest, Kim. This whole thing really is was almost a final nail in the coffin of me hoping to sort of be good with Ryan. But I feel like this triple down really makes me look at him in a new light, where I just feel like, dude, you might be wrong. Your wife might not be telling the truth. There was no need for you to write this aggressively emotional, charged response, because to me, it just makes me like him even less. Because, again, he's doing, as we read, guys, this whole thing is theatrics to the public as well. Let's call it what it is, right, Kim? This is not just some legal document. This is Ryan loudly saying, I believe my wife, and anybody who doesn't, you're against me, is how I read this whole thing. And I find it incredibly off-putting.
Yeah, I think for me, the big thing that sticks out in this paragraph for me is the idea of saying that basically it's fine if I called him a predator if I believe it. It's fine. And the problem is, it's like, okay, so you're admitting then, essentially, that you have called him this. You have reason to
believe. Which he does multiple times.
Yes.
He does that multiple times, right? Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I don't feel like that word is a light word to use, especially in Hollywood, in a post-Weinstein world, right? Like, this is huge. It's very, very damning. And
well, not to interrupt you, but he takes away section. Notice that? He keeps using the word predator, but not using the actual apparent word, which was sexual predator, which is way more charged and way more specific. And I say you, Ryan, I see you trying to legally ease your way out. But you didn't keep repeating the word sexual predator, which does have connotations, Kim. You're spot on.
When a husband steps in to support his wife in the world of fame, many call it romantic. But what if it's actually about control hidden under the mask of care? Now that it's clear Ryan Reynolds was quietly directing things from the background, people in the industry are asking tough questions. Is his help really helpful, or does it take away from Blake Lively's own voice? In Hollywood, marriage isn't just about feelings, it's also about managing public image. Professor Alicia Montgomery from UCLA says that when men take charge, even with good intentions, it can make women seem like they need help instead of showing they're capable on their own. Some say Ryan was just using his status to protect Blake from unfair treatment in an industry that often overlooks women. But others argue his secret involvement goes against the independent image Blake has built. Some legal experts agree that Ryan's power gives the case more weight. But others feel it weakens the argument about boundaries and personal freedom. Behind the scenes, this pattern isn't new. A marketing professional who's worked with the couple says Ryan often talks over Blake in meetings, believing he's helping, though it ends up drowning out her voice. Award-winning director Sophia Chen says Ryan is always the one planning, while Blake delivers the message in public. It's smart marketing, but it raises concerns about who really holds the power. The real surprise isn't the lawsuit, but what it exposed, the hidden workings behind their polished public image. Their playful online posts and red carpet appearances have sold them as equals, but now that image seems carefully designed. Was Ryan acting as a loving partner or as the head of a multi-million-dollar brand? Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.